From the biggest trash-talking quarterback to the most overrated, we've got unfiltered thoughts from 103 NFL players on the league's best and worst QBs. Speaking of unfiltered, just wait until you hear how Jerry Jones sounded off in defense of his abilities as a general manager. And in about 25 minutes, we're going to have our own version of the NFL's cutdown day. Tim Cowlishaw, maybe it's best if you don't read the projected roster. Let's go.
What is that? It's not good.
Tim, in the game of life, you will always be on my initial and my final 53-man roster. 53 is a big number. Shout out to NFL Nation, the other team Marcel Louis-Jacques and I are a part of here at ESPN. 103 players from 25 teams were surveyed on a variety of topics, from their top 3 current quarterbacks, most successful rookie projection, and the most overrated and underrated QBs. Naturally, the most overrated category got a little spicy with QB Josh Allen, who's led the Bills to 4 straight AFC East titles. Guess who's the top vote getter on this list? You guessed it. And there was also a tie between Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa, right behind Josh Allen. One NFC West player's justification for naming Allen on the most overrated list? Too many turnovers. So Kevin Clark, do you agree or disagree that Josh Allen is the NFL's most overrated QB?
Strongest possible disagree. This time of year, the rosters are getting set. Everybody's getting gifts in the locker room. That's a big thing. 1 through 53, we're getting headphones or scooters or whatever. I want to gift every NFL player an internet connection so they can Google what the Buffalo Bills looked like before Josh Allen got there. That is the easiest evidence that he is not overrated. This is ludicrous. I have so much respect for every NFL player. They are so good at their craft. That doesn't make you a good analyst. Josh Allen authored one of the best franchise and quarterback stories of this era. And I think he's a couple of plays away, obviously, from making multiple Super Bowls. He eventually will get there. I understand the justification for saying Hurts or Tua. They have great weapons. They have environments that are conducive to quarterback play. Josh Allen has made that franchise. To say he is overrated is ludicrous.
All right, Mina Kimes, you heard the very strong take there from Kevin Clark. He calls it ludicrous. What do you call Josh Allen being on the most overrated list?
Preposterous is the adjective I'll go with here. I mean, it's only accurate if you have Josh Allen number 1 overall. Then he would be overrated because that's Patrick Mahomes. But anything after that, I think, is fair game. If I had to guess why he got the most votes and it was quite close between him and Hurts and Tua, it's probably not just that he turns the ball over and has done so in some big moments, but that, frankly, and this is a technical football term, it looks goofy when he does it. It's memorable, but that doesn't undermine the fact that he is an unbelievably talented, explosive, and efficient quarterback. Courtney, I want to highlight that because I think that's the most underappreciated aspect of his game and why he is not overrated. There's a metric called success rate, which basically looks at offenses whether or not you're able to move the ball well on a down-to-down basis. It's not about big plays. It's about efficiency. Over the last 3 years, the Bills have been number 1. It's not the Chiefs. It's not the Niners. It's the Buffalo Bills, and it's because of Josh Allen.
All right, Tim Cowlishaw, how do you read this list? When you see Josh Allen, apparently Mr. Turnover Machine, according to the quarterback, the other players that we interviewed for this list, is that a fair assessment? Would you have him at the top of your most overrated list?
Not at all. I would say it's puzzling, except having done this for a few decades, I'm never surprised at a great football, baseball, basketball player. When you talk to them, you realize how bizarre some of their opinions are about the sport that they excel at. And that's what this is an example of. I think he's just the most polarizing figure because he came in 4th when players were voting for the best quarterbacks. It was Mahomes and Lamar and Burrow, and then Josh Allen. So a lot of people know he's really, really good, but somehow they think he's overrated. I don't know if he's paying a price for those losses in Kansas City. Those were not on him. He got them into winning position, and the Bills defense tended to let Mahomes do his thing. So, yeah, he showed up on the underrated list too, as did a guy like Herbert, overrated and simultaneously underrated. So the opinions were kind of all over the place.
And Marcel Louis-Jacques, you did this assignment much like I did. Did you get Josh Allen a lot when you talked to players on the most overrated list?
I didn't get Josh Allen a single time when talking to players about who's most overrated. And Courtney, as the only panelist right now to have lived in Buffalo, I have to say this is the first time anything Buffalo related has been considered overrated. I think that they would insist they are a habitually underrated city. But I don't understand how you can overrate Josh Allen when this is the Josh Allen experience. It's not like he's 1 or 2 years into his career. This is year, 6, 7? You know you're going to get a bunch of touchdowns, and you're going to get, to borrow a term from Mina, a goofy-looking turnover every now and then. You get those because he also makes goofy-looking splash plays. I've seen this man stiff-arm Aaron Donald to the ground and still get a pass off. Anybody that can do that, I can live with a little bit of gunslinging. But how a player who has 4 straight division titles, who has been to an AFC championship game, who's been an NFL MVP runner-up, can be more overrated than Justin Herbert? It doesn't click with me. Justin Herbert, he has the rookie record for passing yards in a single season. But beyond that, when you discuss Justin Herbert, the first thing you go to is his physical traits, not his accomplishments. So yeah, I completely disagree with the Allen conversation.
All right, last word to you, Kevin Clark.
I was in Buffalo a couple of weeks ago for camp, and when I was talking to offensive coordinator Joe Brady, he said everybody says they don't care about stats. Josh Allen is one of the very few people who actually lives by that. And I think that's what you see a little bit, the turnovers, maybe forcing things. Like Josh Allen wants to play his style, and sometimes his numbers are hurt by that. Sometimes he has more turnovers because of that. So that's one of the things I watch there as well.
All right, we have been horned. We will move on. After signing CeeDee Lamb to a 4-year, $136 million extension, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones went on a profanity-laced tirade defending the decisions he has made as Dallas's GM. In an interview with Clarence Hill of AllDLLS.com, Jones stated, quote, "I have an inordinate amount of confidence that bleep. If anybody could figure out how to get this bleep done, I can figure it out how to get it done. So hell no, there's nobody that could bleeping come in here and do all the contracts and be a GM any better than I can." As someone who has gone on profanity-laced tirades, I actually kind of appreciate what Jerry Jones had to say. Tim Cowlishaw, how do you hear the owner, president-in-chief, GM, whatever other title you want to lob onto Jerry Jones?
Well, as far as the profanity, Jerry Jones has talked to Clarence as a newspaper reporter for 27 years. And in a newspaper, you can't quote somebody saying those things. Clarence has moved on to another site, and he gets to use those F and S words. And so maybe that's a little surprise to Jerry today. Beyond that, I asked Jerry at the opening press conference, we've all asked him numerous times on his reasoning for being the only one out of 32 teams where the owner is the general manager, and how he has not been able to get away from that and doesn't see that everybody else does it differently. There may be a reason for that. But you get basically the same answer in different form from Jerry. At this time, he just threw out a bunch of F-bombs.
Marcel, how do you hear Jerry Jones?
As somebody who, as a student, turned in multiple assignments at the buzzer and beat my chest while walking out the room, I understand his exhilaration in talking his cash you-know-what the day he gets that CeeDee Lamb deal done. 2 months after it probably should have been done, but still before the start of the regular season. The Cowboys have added talent through the draft. They are good at that. They are a great business. They are the most valuable brand in sports, but they are not a free agent destination, and they are not winning in the playoffs. They are not bringing real trophies back home to Arlington, to Frisco, wherever they consider home. So, look, great businessman, I'll give him that. But he's not a good GM. I will say what struck me, though, him saying that he doesn't trust somebody to do the job without him, without his approval. So if he's saving somebody from having to get their legs cut out repeatedly from under them, then by all means, stay on as GM, Jerry.
All right, Kevin Clark. I read a little bit further on, and I heard that Jerry Jones say that the reason he's the GM is because he's the only one who can do it. He doesn't trust anybody else to be the GM. So I don't know what that says about the succession plan in Dallas after he eventually decides not to do this job anymore. How does that factor into the way that you read Jerry Jones there?
Jerry Jones is the best person in the world qualified to run this version of the Dallas Cowboys, which is the way Jerry Jones wants it run, which is glitzy, which is dealing with a bunch of B-list actors on the sidelines, all of the things that make the Dallas Cowboys unique to the NFL. I would say, tying it back to the previous topic, that Jerry Jones is on my underrated GM list because of the talent he continuously brings into that building. he drafts really well. Look at the all-pros. Look at the guys who are at the top of the market. The problem is, once they get to the top of the market in salaries, he waits too long to sign them. They hold out or hold in, and they make a boatload of money. Because of that, they aren't as aggressive in trades. They aren't as aggressive in free agency. He has one fatal flaw, which is what happens contractually when they become superstars. But getting superstars in the building is how you win 10, 11, 12 games a year. He will not win a Super Bowl as GM, but he'll win a bunch of games, and I think he's underrated in that regard.
Mina, as Tim said, this is a role that not many other owners want to take on. It is one that Jerry has willingly taken on, and he did win 3 Super Bowls as the GM and owner. How do you see or hear what he had to say yesterday?
I mean, him saying that he's doing a good job is like if the franchise owner of McDonald's named himself Employee of the Month. Like, congratulations, Jerry Jones. You've made ownership very happy with the job you're doing as GM. I'd kind of take issue, Kevin, with something you said there, though, which is that, signing guys to these deals is his fatal flaw. That's his main job, because as I understand it, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right here, Will McClay, his son, the rest of the front office in Dallas, they're the ones doing a fantastic job of drafting and developing players, and that's the quietly funny thing about the Cowboys. For all the flack they get for being, all flash and no substance, the substance is great. The drafts are great. It's the flash, the signing guys to deals, the bad trades where they are struggling, and that, my friend, is Jerry Jones's purview.
And Tim Cowlishaw at the horn, last words.
I'd be real careful giving Jerry too much credit for the draft. If he was the one making the actual call, the Cowboys would have picked Johnny Manziel and not Zach Martin a few years back. So we have scouts and others.
Jerry's still out, Tim. Jerry's still out.
All right, it's the United States of Jerry Jones. He's the president, he's the emperor, he's the king. We're all just living in it. I guess that, Marcel, you can be Tito in this one. All right, after the break, trouble in Cleveland, the Browns' preseason concerns, and the Guardians not guarding their AL Central lead. Buy or sell, coming up next.
Welcome back to Around the Horn, brought to you by Chase. Coming to you from the Seaport District at Pier 17.
Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson was supposed to play in Cleveland's 3rd preseason game, but was a late scratch, and it had nothing to do with the arm soreness Watson experienced last week, according to Kevin Stefanski. The Browns coach said he's comfortable with the amount of work Watson has got done in practices to be ready for Week 1 at Dallas. Meanwhile, Nick Chubb expected to stay on the physically unable to perform list for the first 4 weeks. Mina, buy or sell the level of concern for the Browns?
I'm buying a high level of concern for both these players. Chubb, who, when he's healthy, is one of the best at his position. Watson, who, when he's healthy, and he hasn't been very healthy a lot, has been one of the worst at his position. Last year, 31st in QBR, 31st in yards per attempt, 46th in on-target rate. Now, Browns fans might say, well, he was injured, but that's part of the problem. He hasn't been healthy, and we have not seen him play good football in several years now.
Tim Cowlishaw, what are you buying? What are you selling?
I'm going to be a little less concerned for the team because they went to the playoffs with Chubb getting hurt early in the second game last year, and with Joe Flacco playing quarterback. It's got to be better than that. Even if Chubb misses the first 4 games, that's concerning. But if he's back week 5, week 6, week 7, that helps the team. And I got to think Deshaun Watson at some point is going to perform the way he did in Houston. It just can't go on forever.
Yeah, that's my concern, Marcel. Do we ever get Deshaun Watson Houston version, circa 2019, 2020, back again?
I don't think so. I'm selling that. I'm selling the return of Houston era Deshaun Watson because, at what point? When's it coming back? We could say, okay, he was suspended for 11 games a couple years ago and sat out an entire year, but we're 2-3 years removed from that and haven't seen much, if any, improvement from him at the quarterback position. So no, I'm selling Deshaun Watson. I'm also selling concern about Nick Chubb, simply because I know this is the second major left knee injury that he's had to come back from, but Jerome Ford is a highly capable backup. I don't think whenever Chubb comes back, it's not like he's going to be the workhorse. They can ease him back into the rotation and form a pretty effective 2-man backfield with Chubb and Ford. And also, this is the Ravens division to lose. It doesn't matter about their injuries at quarterback and running back.
All right, Kevin Clark, how do you see the level of concern? Should we be panicking? Should we not be hitting the panic button when it comes to Cleveland? What say you?
It depends what you're looking for. First of all, if Houston, Deshaun Watson ever returned, the Browns would win the Super Bowl. It's as simple as that. But he's not walking through that door. It's very different Deshaun Watson and has been for a very long time. And so for me, I think this is a playoff team. This is a defense that, if you look at the way they were able to shut down opposing offenses and get them off the field on 3 and out, stuff like that, it was a historic defense. They got to the playoffs with dang Joe Flacco. So we know their floor is really high. Deshaun Watson needs to be a top 12 quarterback and not make mistakes in order for them to have a chance at competing in the AFC. I just haven't seen any evidence that can possibly happen. He's going to be average at best. This team loses in the wild card round, and that's just the ceiling.
All right, the old Kevin Clark guarantee. I will be sure to check back with you on that in a couple of months. Buy or sell number 2. It would appear the Pittsburgh Pirates are giving up on O'Neal Cruz at shortstop after he committed 24 errors this season. The Pirates say they're moving Cruz out to center field, where, of course, he's never played professionally. Makes a ton of sense? I don't know. The Pirates wanted to give their 25-year-old, quote, a runway of games to get up to speed in the outfield before the 2025 season. Tim, buying or selling this position change for O'Neal Cruz?
I'm actually going to buy this, Courtney. We live in an era of gigantic center fielders. You got Aaron Judge running around in Yankee Stadium, and now 6'7" O'Neal Cruz is going to do it for Pittsburgh. He always looked a little long and lean for the shortstop position, and those errors are troubling. So I think it makes sense. Now, he's not going to be good in center field right away, but the Pirates aren't playing for anything this last month. It's a good chance to see what he might do for next year.
Marcel, you buying or selling the position change?
Yeah, I'm buying it. Your shortstop is supposed to be your best glove, right? 24 errors in the season doesn't sound like your best glove to me. He's the tallest shortstop in MLB history at 6'7". Maybe there's a reason why there haven't been many 6'7", 6'6" shortstops. I think with that cannon of an arm and that length, he can cover the outfield in like 3 steps. They should have done this a long time ago. He was error-prone even in the minors.
Kevin Clark?
I'm buying it, but I don't feel good about it. I'm not Jeff Passan or Tim Kirk. I'm not a baseball expert, but reading about this gave me a lot of pause. So first of all, a Pirates beat writer said that he was moved to the outfield during spring training as an experiment a couple of years ago and gave a 1 out of 10 on the effort scale, which gives me a little bit of pause going into September and doing this in real games. And beyond that, that they think that his destination has always been in the outfield, but they wanted to maintain his ego. Maybe it's fragile a little bit or something like that. I don't know. This all seems like a kind of a fraught situation. They need to try it, maybe sacrifice in September, but this doesn't seem like a very good situation.
You may not be a baseball beat writer or insider, but you did your research, so you get a couple extra points for that.
There we go.
And Mina Kimes, is this the right move for O'Neal Cruz?
I'm selling it because I don't really believe the organization has conviction when it comes to this move. I mean, 8 days ago, Ben Cherington, their manager, was asked about him playing shortstop. He said, yeah, he's our shortstop. A week later, he is no longer their shortstop. That, to me, doesn't suggest that this is a team that has a strategy here or much less depth at either of these positions. Otherwise, I don't think they would be making this move at this late in the season.
I believe that he is the general manager, so a mute there. But cut-down day has come to Around the Horn. We say goodbye. Tim Cowlishaw, and a surprise cut here. Marcel Louis-Jacques, you were in it just until the very end. The good news, there are a lot of shows that wouldn't be as lucky to have you two. Showdown coming up next. Kevin Clark, Mina Kimes. Back to Cleveland for a moment, where Salvador Perez hit a grand slam and drove in a career-high 6 RBIs as the Kansas City Royals completed a doubleheader sweep of the Guardians on Monday night. Since the All-Star break, KC has posted an AL Best 22-13 record, and the Royals now within 1 game of first in the AL Central after being 9 games back in early July. Mina, are you thinking the Royals can take the division?
Absolutely. I mean, since the All-Star break, they are first in batting average, first in runs per game, first in K rate. That's pretty good, as they are balanced and they have that unique blend of veteran experience, Perez, young superstars that it takes to make a playoff run.
As a baseball expert since the B block, I can safely say that this is absolutely a contender. As Mina said, best offense in baseball since the All-Star break. Bobby Witt since July 1, 412 batting average and 15 homers. This is a special run for a special team.
Mina brings the stats, Kevin brings the humor, and a little bit of numbers there. At the end, we split the point, and we move on. File this under my worst nightmare. Several Chargers players in team personnel got stuck in an elevator in Dallas and had to be rescued by crawling through a ceiling panel. Coach Jim Harbaugh said Justin Herbert was a rock and added that every player was dripping in sweat, but Herbert's shirt was completely dry, whatever that means. Kevin, is Harbaugh overrating or underrating this experience?
Underrating. This is a team bonding experience that you cannot replicate anywhere else. I wouldn't be surprised if Harbaugh himself isn't the one who pulled the switch there to stop the elevator. Maybe send him to an escape room next time. You understand your team if you go through something like this.
Listen, there are quarterbacks who are lifted up by the systems, and then there's quarterbacks who are the system, who are, shall we say, elevators of talent. Justin Herbert is one of those quarterbacks. The NFL player survey was wrong, and he showed it there.
Oh, puns versus conspiracy theories. Gotta go with Kevin Clark on this one. Jim Harbaugh absolutely pulled that switch. The upset fix. Take the FaceTime.
There we go. This week, the Connor Stalions Netflix documentary comes out as his side of one of the biggest controversies in college football history. But I do want to say, Connor, you got some free time the next couple of years. Might I pitch podcasting? Who knows more about Big Ten opponents and maybe their signals than Connor Stalions? And beyond that, he's done disguise work. Obviously, he's up for bits, some comedy stuff. There's a lot of money in it. The Kelsey just got a 9-figure deal. Connor Stalions, your future is breaking down the Big Ten defenses and offenses on podcasting, buddy.
All right, 23-and-a-half-hour break coming up. If I don't make this, I'm going to get cut. I guess I'm subject to waiver.